I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is our regularly scheduled meeting for May 26, 2015. Madam Clerk, please do the roll call.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ms. Timbowski.
Present.
Mr. Steele.
Here.
Mr. Starr.
Here.
Mr. Flynn. Present. Mr. Hall.
Present.
Ms. Gray Jackson.
Honored to be here.
Ms. Johnston. Here. Mr. Honeman.
Here.
Mr. Cheney.
Here.
Mr. Peterson.
Present.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Evans is excused from this meeting. Last time I heard he's not feeling well.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Steele, could you lead us in the pledge, sir?
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. Minutes of previous meetings, minutes of item 4A, regular scheduled meeting of March 24, 2015. If I get a motion on that.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? If not, ask unanimous. See no objection, Madam Clerk. Those are approved. Next one is our regular scheduled meeting of April 14, 2015.
Move to approve.
Any discussion on those? Ask unanimous consent. Seeing no objection, Madam Clerk, those are approved. The next one is April 21st, 2015.
Move to approve.
Any objection to that? Ask unanimous consent on approval. Not seeing any objection, those are approved, Madam Clerk. We're now down to the Mayor's report. Mr. Mayor, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. As I'm sure the body is aware, the King of Norway arrived in town. There's some events tomorrow, one at the museum, one at the Denina Center, where he'll be giving remarks. And so we're honored to have such a distinguished visitor in our community. Also, I will be absent for a portion of this meeting. It is the funeral this evening of Dan Cuddy, lifelong family friend. My dad and Mr. Cuddy grew up in Valdez together, and so when you don't see me in my chair, I'll be over at the Wendy Williamson Auditorium for just a little bit, but I'll get back as soon as I can. Finally, we do have one late on the table item that is labeled 9F8 for introduction. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions for the Mayor from the body? Be safe on your journey over there, Mr. Mayor.
Well, actually, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, Mr. Flynn.
Yeah, and of course, the Cuddys are close family friends of ours, too. So, obviously, I'm disappointed I can't be there tonight, and we're going to pull the resolution for him and hold it over so we can present it to the family in a month. But please extend our condolences.
I sure will, Mr. Flynn.
No other questions? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Down to Assembly Chair's report. In the interest of time, there is not one. Let's go to committee reports. Mr. Hall, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two brief announcements. We have a Ethics and Election Commission committee meeting tomorrow at noon. We have a full agenda, and I'm not sure what room where I would be in 240 or 155, but we will be in the City Hall. And Thursday at 4 o'clock, we have the Marijuana Committee meeting. That is another one that should be a real interest. We moved that to later in the day so citizens in the community can come and participate. And we're going to have Cynthia Franklin with us tomorrow evening. She's got some information she can share with us in regards to regulations, licensing. The majority of the program the meeting will be Cynthia bringing us up to speed. And, of course, we'll have the law enforcement, legal, and the clerk's office represented. Thank you.
Mr. Hall, I'm introducing an ordinance tonight dealing with marijuana. Can you see if you can add that to your marijuana discussion tomorrow?
We already put that on
Good.
under other for tomorrow evening.
Thank you, Mr. Hall, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Honeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Public Safety Committee meeting met last Wednesday. As you were there, you'll recall we had taken up an issue that's on the agenda tonight. When we get to that point, we'll report the committees. The three of us were there, and the committee's recommendation really simply is to make sure that we basically support the Planning Department's recommendation on the change in the ordinance, particularly when it comes to site plan review. So there was a recommendation, made from that. Also, we'll be meeting the third Wednesday of June, and I believe all three of us that were there realized it was very noisy in this particular chamber, so we may want to move that meeting to another location. So I'll get with the clerk and we'll get where we will meet for June. So to the department, police department, it's been a request that we would schedule, and we'll try to get with you as quick as we can. Basically reference homeless camps and responses to nuisance locations. We had a presenter from TBOP reference the park as well, and some recommendations to be made. So I know you guys were there and we're hearing some of that, but we'd like to have you guys give us an extended, we'll get some information so you can prep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Starr, sir.
No report.
Mr. Steele, sir.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Gray Jackson, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Budget and Finance Committee met on Thursday, May 21st. The OMB Acting Director provided a brief update on the budget and advised that all the first quarter budget revisions have been updated within PeopleSoft. The Treasurer provided an update on the tobacco tax evasion issue. The judge's order was for $2 million in restitution to the municipality. There is a little over $1 million that was seized in cash, which the city is currently attempting to lay claim to. And the city is actively working with the Department of Justice to submit the required paperwork in an effort to get this $1 million. We also received a report from the chair of the Budget Advisory Commission. Not the chair, I'm sorry, a member of the Budget Advisory Commission. We also received an update on the sprinkler exemption issue from the property appraiser and the property appraisal supervisor. And what they did at this time around, they provided an example of the exemption application, so we saw how that works. And we also had some input from the fire marshal. The committee determined that we're going to continue to have the discussion on the sprinkler exemption, and we're going to continue that discussion at our next meeting, which will be held June 18th, 12 to 1 in the Assembly Conference Room, City Hall, Room 155. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Johnson has a question. Ms. Johnson, ma'am.
Yes, I remember the sprinkler issue as far as the Budget Advisory Commission. Are you going to be addressing some of the other issues they brought up as far as tax deferrals and tax nonprofits?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Ms. Johnson, yes, we are. As a matter of fact, one of the first things that we brought up at our committee meeting was the exemption for nonprofits, and we decided that we need to bring the stakeholders to the table before we continue that discussion. We've already received a letter from the Foraker Group asking us to make sure that we do have them at the table. So when we're done with this particular subject, we are going to continue with the nonprofit, and I think that was mostly the only two that they brought up. But anyway, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Johnston.
Mr. Flynn, sir.
Thank you, sir. The AMATS Policy Committee will convene on Thursday of this week, the 28th, at 1:30 p.m. And I'd like to acknowledge and thank the administration. They have been very helpful in trying to address the curb bulb issue that I raised at our last meeting with and how it relates to motor coaches transiting through downtown Anchorage and getting people to hotels, the Denina Center, and so on. So we're working that actively, and hopefully we'll have some resolution to that shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. That is a real problem with the way those bulbs are designed. Ms. Dombrowski, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have an official committee report, but I would just like to update you. I did have an opportunity to sit down with the city's ethics officer, and I believe I've been put on the agenda for the Board of Ethics meeting on the 24th, I think it is, of this month. So we're going to figure out a system in which we can have maybe a disclosure for maybe things that aren't so close to my husband's direct job. And the second thing I'd like to report on, I attended the pot convention. I'm sure there's a more politically correct way to say it, but everybody knows what I'm talking about.
What type of pots did you bring?
Well, there was one kind that I saw. No, it was very interesting. I found there was a very interesting tagging mechanism. It was a computer program basically that tracks and tags these plants, basically follows them from growing to distribution. There was an interesting inventory control mechanism, which I thought was very interesting. And then the other presenter that I thought was incredibly enlightening was a tax attorney. He happens to be from Eagle River, so of course very wise. But it was very interesting talking about the tax implications and all the different nuances relating to finance in this. And I personally only saw 3 people consuming there. So overall, I think the event was run really well. So that was my little report.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Peterson, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report this evening.
Ms. Johnson, ma'am.
Yes, the Title 21 Committee will be meeting on Friday at 9:30 to 11:30, and we'll be discussing AO 59, the multi-residential ordinance that Mr. Hall and Ms. Dombowski introduced, and we'll be discussing height and floor area ratio. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is addendum to the agenda. If I get a motion to incorporate the addendum, a second.
Second.
I'll go through it. Item 9A, under consent agenda, resolutions for action. Resolution error 2015-184, resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly recognizing June 20th, 2015 as Juneteenth Day in Alaska. Item 9B4, under resolutions for action, resolution error 2015-185, resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly authorizing municipal light and power to negotiate and acquire by purchase, exchange, or other transfer agreements, natural gas and other energy production to meet its short-term requirements. Item 9C1, under bid awards, the same memorandum AM 348, 2015, recognition of award to Granite Construction Company to furnish asphalt concrete hot mix, ACC, to the municipality of Anchorage, Public Works Department, Maintenance and Operations Division, ITB, 2015 B025, $737,500 from the Purchasing Department. Item C2, a same memorandum AM 349, 2015, recognition of award to GMG, General Incorporated for Nunaka Valley Street and Pedestrians Upgrade for the municipality of Anchorage, Public Works Department, Project Management and Engineering Division, ITB 2015 C034, $534,976 from the Purchasing Department. Under new business, item 9D10, the same memorandum, AM 350, 2015, preparatory purchase award to NC Machinery to furnish a 160 M3 Caterpillar grader to the municipality of Anchorage, M&O Fleet Management, $263,000 from the Purchasing Department. Under ordinances and resolutions for introduction, item 9F6, resolution AR 2015-64, an ordinance authorizing a 30-year sublease between the municipality of Anchorage, Alaska, and Alaska Basic Industries, Inc. for $81,055 square foot portion of the Alaska Road Corporation lease contract 6434 NW4 Section 7 T13N R3W SM Port of Anchorage. Public hearing requested on 6/9/2015. There's an accompanying same memorandum with it, AM 351 2015. There is an item 9F7, ordinance AO 2015-65, an ordinance amending Anchorage Municipal Code Chapter 16.65, secondhand smoke control and related codes to include smoking marijuana and marijuana products under the secondhand smoke control law. Public hearing request on that is 6/9/2015. There's an accompanying semi-memorandum with it, AM 352 2015. Under special orders, there's a special order item 15A, recertification of the May 5th, 2015 mayoral runoff municipal election. And then we've got a laid on the table item. If I get a motion on laid on the table item in a second, I'd appreciate it. This will be item 9F8.
Move to introduce.
Moved in second. I'll read the name of it. This is AO 2015-66.
Or just to incorporate, Mr. Chair?
You can do it, yeah.
Move to incorporate.
And we'll need a third on that because this is an ordinance. We'll have to have three on this thing. Okay, LB was a third on that. And this is AO 2015-66, an ordinance approving and appropriating an additional $800,000 to the Anchorage Community Development Authority 2015 operating budget for a grant to the Alliance for the support of American Legion Baseball to be used for a multi-sport pavilion. Public hearing requested on that is the 9th of June. And that completes all the items that I've got in front of us. If I get a motion now on the agenda, on the consent agenda,
Second.
and the second, and now I'll go down for a little further discussion and work my way around. Ms. Johnston, ma'am.
9A2.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Peterson, sir.
No items this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Dombrowski, ma'am.
9 Bravo 1.
Mr. Flynn, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 9 Alpha 3 for rescheduling. Item 9 Bravo 2. And item 9 Foxtrot 2, so that I may declare a potential conflict, which I doubt will be one, but better to be safe than sorry. That's all, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gray Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the consent agenda, 9 Alpha 4, on the addendum, I'm sorry, 9 Alpha 4, and then on the regular agenda, 9 Frank 1. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also like to pull on the regular agenda 9 Delta 1, Delta 2, and Delta 3. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am.
No additional items, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Starr.
No items.
Mr. Honeman.
9 Alpha 1 for reading.
No items.
Okay. Anything from the administration? Okay. Then we pulled item 9A1, item 9A2, item 9A3, item 9A4, 9B1, 9B2, 9D1, 9D2, 9D3. On page 3, we pulled 9F1. We pulled 9F2. Is that all, Madam Clerk? Okay. Please vote. The item was approved. Now go back to those items, pull for a little further discussion. By the way, I want to thank all of you that got here tonight. Our usual way of getting here wasn't working real well, so it's nice to see everybody here. Okay, we're on item 9A1.
Move to approve.
You pulled that, Mr. Holman. That's Resolution Air 2015-158, a resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly recognizing and honoring Madeline Hundorf for 15 years of service with the municipality of Anchorage.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Unanimous consent, see no objection. Mr. Honeman, that was approved.
Thank you. Ms. Holdorf,
Is
you
she
here?
here?
Thank you very much. Mr. Steele, if you would. This is Anchorage Assembly's Assembly Resolution Number 2015-158, a resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly recognizing and honoring Madeline Holdorf for her 15 years of service with the municipality of Anchorage. Whereas Madeline Holdorf began her public service as a family multicultural resource specialist for the Department of Health and Human Services, and whereas she utilized her sociology expertise with Anchorage's cultural leaders on family abuse prevention strategies and initiatives, received the 2002 Multicultural Diversity Employee of the Year Award, assisted a mayoral committee and Alaska Native leaders to name a park for Elizabeth and Roy Peratrovich, produced The Alaska Native's Guide to Anchorage and The Little Blue Book and violence prevention materials in several foreign languages. And whereas Madeline organized DHHS staff to share essential public health services with multiple Russian delegations for UAA's American Russian Center and traveled to Anadyr, Chukotka, Russia in 2003 to discuss homelessness, public inebriates, and domestic violence with healthcare providers. And whereas she was promoted to multicultural resource specialist for the entire department, maintained language and cultural community databases, shared public health services at cultural events, led the Employee Municipal Diversity Council as chair, organized employee conferences, and volunteered time to create parade floats and picnics for municipal visibility among Anchorage's proud, diverse populations. And whereas in 2009, Madeline became a grants and contracts administrator, supporting the success of numerous human service projects. She supports vulnerable populations as part of the Emergency Operations Center, is a Crisis Health Action Team member, and member of the Department of Health and Human Services Holiday Committee. Therefore, the Anchorage Municipal Assembly resolves to recognize that Madeline Holdorf, for her 15 years of service and dedication to the municipality and the citizens of Anchorage, passed and approved this by the Anchorage Assembly on this 26th day of May, 2015.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you very much. This is indeed a great honor, and I thank my members of the Assembly for just reviewing what some of us do as we come to work each day. I have served under 4 mayors and almost twice as many directors of the Department of Health and Human Services. And when I was hired as a sociologist, Jewel Jones hired me for the Safe City program. And I had studied for a bachelor's degree in sociology back in the 60s, and that was not one of the thriving occupations that one could get into. You were always coaxed to go into social work and listening to people's problems. But as a sociologist, I was initially able to work with so many community groups in the diversity field, so many different echelons of municipal government, including when Mayor Wirch wanted to name something after Elizabeth and Roy Peratrovich. That was a great project that I'm very, very proud of. Throughout my time recently with the department, I've worked with grants and contracts. I oversee with Mark Lassard, who's behind me, the Anchorage Community Service Patrol and the Anchorage Safety Center. Other things that go on include domestic violence prevention and intervention projects. I have gained many, many friends from those of you that are on the dais, including Deannis and I have been friends for over 30 years. Mayor Sullivan and I share the esteemed privilege of being New York Yankee fans, and Elvie Gray and I were born in the same city. And I know I've interacted with many of you on a variety of different levels. Barbara Jones and I, when Barbara was with the Equal Rights Commission, we tackled a lot of historical issues for various groups in the city. I'm so proud to be an employee of the municipality, and it is just that time in my life where I'm ready to retire. But I leave a great opportunity for someone to take over as I am stepping down. Thank you to my team back here as well. My supervisor, Deanne Fetko, Mark Lassard, Angela Taplin, our administrative person, Linda McLaren, my contract administrator buddy, and of course our director, Melinda Freeman. Thank you, everyone, for all I've been able to do.
There don't appear to be any assembly comments. Thank you, ma'am, for your
Thank
service
you.
to the city. Next item in front of us is item 9A2, Resolution 2015-178. You pulled that, Ms. Johnston?
Move to approve.
Move to second, ask unanimous consent. See no objection. That item is approved by the body.
This is a resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly
Who is here to get it?
recognizing Alaska Pride Fest 2015 and encouraging the Anchorage community to celebrate the diversity of the state of Alaska. Whereas Alaska Pride Fest is sponsored each year by Identity, an organization that provides a full range of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community services as an Alaska 501c3 nonprofit organization. And whereas Alaska Pride Fest 2015 is a week-long celebration held May 30th to June 6th of Alaska's diversity and of the LGBT community's journey through building equality, which is again the theme of this year's celebration. And whereas Alaska Pride Fest 2015 will share its celebration with the Anchorage community on Saturday, June 6th, beginning with the Equality Parade at 11 a.m. downtown, culminating with the Pride Festival from noon to 5 on the Delaney Park Strip. And whereas the first LGBT Pride celebration in support of gay rights began more than 40 years ago on the first anniversary of the Stonewall riots, an event regarded by many as a catalyst of the LGBT movement for the civil rights in the United States. Now, therefore, the Anchorage Assembly recognizes May 30th to June 6th as Alaska Pride Fest 2015 and encourages the Anchorage community to join in celebrating the diversity of the municipality of Anchorage and the state of Alaska, passed and approved by the Anchorage Assembly this 26th day of May 2015.
My name is Gail Shue. I'm co-chair of Identity, and on behalf of our organization and the board members that are with me, I want to thank you for recognizing Alaska Pride Fest by giving us this proclamation. And I would like to invite all of you, as well as all of the members of the audience today, and all of the citizens of Anchorage and Alaska to all the events which start next Saturday and Sunday with our presence at the Downtown Market and Festival. And we also have our kickoff event, a brand new event this year, the Rainbow Run. And moving into next week, on the following week, on Monday, we have movies at the Beartooth. On Tuesday, there's a brand new event at the Snow Goose called Tales from Beyond the Closet, semi-patterned after Arctic entries. But there'll be stories from people, youth to elders, in Anchorage. And then we go on to such other fabulous events as Lube Wrestling at the Raven and Drag Queen Bingo, which is going to be on that funky little street outside of Humpy's and Sub-Zero. And we have events at Myrna's on Friday. We have the parade and festival on Saturday, and it's just a good time for Anchorage. So please come and join us for Building Equality 2015. Thank you so much.
Next item in front of us, item 983, Resolution Air 2015-183. Mr. Flynn, you pulled that one, sir.
Yes, sir. I move to postpone this item to our meeting of June 23.
Second.
That's unanimous. See no objection. That is so ordered, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Next item in front of us is 984, Resolution Air 2015-184, Resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly, recognizing June 20th, 2015 as Juneteenth Day in Alaska. Ms. Gray Jackson, you pulled that one, ma'am.
Move to approve.
Second.
That's unanimous. That is approved, Madam Clerk.
I'll be reading, Mr. Chairman.
Who's presenting?
Mr. Honeman.
Who's here to receive it? Come on down. I just didn't want you to get started until they got
Right. Right. A resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly recognizing June 20th, 2015 as Juneteenth Day in Alaska. Whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas Juneteenth Day recognizes June 19, 1865, when Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce the war's end and that all slaves were free in accordance with the executive order of President Abraham Lincoln. And whereas it took nearly 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation for word to reach the last group of slaves that they were, in fact, free men and women. And whereas this year will mark the 150th year of Juneteenth celebrations and the 20th anniversary of organized events celebrated here in Anchorage. And whereas the Alaska State 22nd Legislature passed HB 100 in 2001, establishing the third Saturday in June each year to commemorate the abolition of slavery and to reflect on the suffering and sacrifice endured by millions of early African Americans, and to appreciate the unique freedom and equality enjoyed by all state citizens. And whereas a 3-day celebration is planned for the Fairview Lions Park starting on Friday, June 19th, 2015, and continuing the celebration with live performances, games, prizes, and contests for all. Now, therefore, the Anchorage Assembly recognizes June 20, 2015 as Juneteenth Day and encourages the community to participate in local events to celebrate African American freedom, heritage, and contributions to our American culture. Passed and approved by the Anchorage Assembly this 26th day of May 2015.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you once again. We are so glad to be able to come in and receive this resolution from the Assembly. And I have with me a couple of supporters this year, business supporters, Ms. Donna Brooks with the Nubian Sisterhood, and Charles Alexander with Keepsake Images. And this year, yes, we are going to 3 days, but we actually are going to start on the 12th. We have a talent not competition, but a talent showcase, the 12th and 13th at Mountain View Boys and Girls Club. Then on the 14th, we start our celebrations this year at First CME Church with opening ceremonies at the church from 4 to 9. And I'm doing a What is Juneteenth workshop at the BP Exploration Center on the 16th. And then we'll be having a drum bass clinic at UAA on the 18th. And hopefully we'll be joining the UAA celebration at that time as well. The 19th will be on the Fairview Lions Park, and we'll have our celebration and performances and everything we can get out there on the 19th. And the 20th will be there as well. And then the 21st is our closing ceremonies. So we're going a little longer than 3 days this time. We're getting there, and next year we're pushing for the same thing. And I thank you once again for this resolution. Would you guys like to say something?
We'd like to invite all of you to our celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gray Jackson has a comment, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one brief comment. Thank you so much for being here. Juneteenth is an exciting time to remember, and it's also going to be my anniversary of being in Anchorage for 33 years. So it's extra special for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you for being here.
Uh-huh.
Next item in front of us is 9B1 under resolutions for action. Resolution Error 2015-172 resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly to the Port of Seattle Commission concerning continuing preparations necessary to minimize any risk associated with the 2015 Arctic offshore exploration. Ms. Dombrowski, you pulled that, ma'am.
Yep, move to approve.
Second.
Second. Moved to second. Ms. Dombrowski.
Mr. Flynn has a conflict. I believe he wants to declare.
Yeah, well, I don't think it may not be a conflict, but after I started working on this, I realized I might have one, so I thought I'd better tell everybody. First off, my wife's firm does do work for Shell. She does not do that work. It is not tied to her compensation. Secondly, my firm does work for a subcontractor for Shell. Again, I do not work on it directly, and it is not tied to my compensation. I leave myself to the body's wisdom on that, and if you decide to have a conflict, then somebody else better sponsor this.
Mr. Flynn, it's ruling the chair you don't have a conflict of interest in this item. So please vote on it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Please vote on this item if there's no further discussion. Please vote. That is approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 9B2, Resolution 2015-177, a resolution authorizing municipal light and power to negotiate and acquire by purchase, exchange, or other transfer agreements natural gas to meet its short-term requirements. Mr. Flynn, you pulled that, sir.
Yes, sir. Move to postpone indefinitely. We passed item 9, Bravo 4 earlier that meets the same goal.
Second.
Any discussion? Ask unanimous. Ma'am? I'm sorry. You're on here now.
Sorry, Patrick, Mr. Flynn's a little faster than I am, so I just need a second to look at 9B4 to make sure.
9B4 added into it, wind generation.
Basically, the 9 Bravo 2 did not include renewable energy sources, and 9 Bravo 4 allows for them, is the summary.
9B2 did, if you looked at the AM with it, but not on the,
Well, the AM actually specifically
itself.
excluded it.
so.
Alrighty, does the administration have any problem with that?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. You're like 2 steps ahead of me.
Ask unanimous, seeing no objection, Madam Clerk, please let the minutes reflect. We postpone that item indefinitely. Next item in front of us is item 9D1, a same memorandum, AM 338-2015, Budget Advisory Commission appointment. Ms. Gray Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to postpone action until the meeting of July 14th. Yes,
Second.
July 14th.
Second.
Second. It's moved and seconded. Ms. Gray Jackson, any reason?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. I think that in a little more than a month we're going to have a new mayor, and I think that it's only fair, I'll use that word, that any appointments from here on out be postponed until the new mayor has an opportunity to determine if these are the names that he wants to bring forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dombrowski.
I respectfully disagree. You know, part of the problem we have here, I think this board has 9 members. We have 1 member who you'll see in the next item is actually moved out of state, so his position's being reappointed. But we have 3 members here, so if we don't reappoint them, 3 of these terms expire by the end of June, which means in July they may not have a quorum to do business. So I recognize, in my opinion, this is a political maneuver, and unfortunately, when it comes to appointments, especially serving on boards and commissions, these are citizens within our community who are giving up their time freely, not charging the municipality to serve. And I think holding them politically hostage is inappropriate.
Should it be a no vote?
I'll absolutely be a no vote. But what I'm saying is, you know, if we delay this one, especially with this particular board, we may not even have a quorum in July. And I know they're in the process right now of doing significant amount of work trying to, as we were updated at the Budget Advisory or at the Budget and Finance Committee, they're doing a lot of exit interviews right now with the current budget or the current directors and whatnot to figure out what needs to be improved in their departments, and if their terms expire and they don't have an opportunity to finish their work. I mean, for political reasons, I just don't see it. We're talking about 3 or 4 appointments to a board in which their terms expire before the new mayor takes over. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer in my opinion.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Starr, sir, on the motion to postpone this item until the 14th of July.
Yeah, I would rather not send a message to these folks. If you look at their attendance, they've all worked pretty hard. They're very qualified, investment banker, you got a pension expert, and military connection with Mr. Van Lerte. And in that last one in particular, it's hard to get representatives from Chugiak Eagle River out there. So, you know, I feel like, you know, a session with the new mayor, this body reports to us equally for duties assigned as well as it does to the mayor. So, you know, I'd like to keep them energized and motivated. The seats turn over. I think that's how it's designed. You know, I would rather not make it political, and that seems to be kind of what we're doing with I think all good intentions that this group has, and particularly these 3 that have been showing up and doing the heavy lifting. I'd rather not take that board and commission to a political stance. So if we could reconsider that and get these people back to work, that'd be helpful.
Ms. Gray Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate Mr. Mbasi's comments and also Mr. Starr's comments. But I kind of take a little bit of offense to saying that this is political. I work with all of these folks on the Budget Advisory Commission because I attend the meetings every month along with Mr. Mbasi. And I just think, I can tell you right now, if I were the new mayor and I was going to take office in a month from now, I would really appreciate if any new appointment, okay, to any board was postponed until I had an opportunity to review the resumes and make a decision as to whether or not I wanted to make these appointments. And maybe the new mayor will. I have no idea whether he will or not. But that's what this is about as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Nabowski, ma'am.
Last bite at the apple. What I'll say is the new mayor's term is July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2018. So therefore, it's this mayor's responsibility to do his job until June 30th. And I just, whether we want to say it's political or it's not, it absolutely is. And so, I just say, I know I've served on boards and commissions. I've served on Parks and Rec boards. I've served on the Budget Advisory Commission. I've had the opportunity to serve on state boards. And what I know is when I step into a commission or a board meeting, I don't care which board I've been on, I've never seen anybody say, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? I've never seen it. I've never seen partisanship on these boards and commissions. As a matter of fact, there's one member that's being appointed tonight. Honestly, I think he's a Democrat, but I've never looked because I don't care, because he brings good things to the table, honestly. And I think that's what we need to look at. And I think the moment we start doing this, blocking appointments, we have one of the members that's up for appointment tonight in the audience. This is going to be one of the first boards and commissions he's being appointed to, an active duty military member. And we're going to tell him basically, because you may be being appointed by the wrong mayor, we're going to block you. I think that's a bad message to send, honestly. And I think our community deserves better.
Ms. Johnston, ma'am.
I might have a very unfair question to the mayor, because I'm going to ask you to search in your memory. But do you remember making any massive board or commission appointments in your first 3 months when you were mayor?
Well, I guess I give you maybe a little bit of a different historical perspective. I was on the Assembly when Mayor Begich took office in 2003, and we didn't do this. We didn't do this. We knew the mayor was the mayor until June 30th, and we gave him the privilege and the responsibilities of being mayor until the end of his term. This is not a lame duck administration. The previous administration, when Mayor Begich took office, was not a lame duck administration, and we just simply didn't do this. It's out of respect for the duties and qualifications of the mayor to make appointments. These people who are being appointed are extremely qualified people. You look at their resumes, you look at their history on the board, it just does not sit right that we would somehow say to those folks, oh, by the way, you're not qualified, or we want to wait until there's a new administration. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the process. So I would urge the body not to go this direction. It sets a very, very bad precedent.
Ms. Gray-Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I want to thank Ms. Domboski for her comments, Mr. Starr, Ms. Johnston, and now the mayor. And as I said before, for me personally, this is not political. So much so that I'm willing to withdraw my motion. And I'd like to make a secondary motion, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve 9 Delta 1.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Honeman, relative to your light flashing?
Second.
Okay. Please vote. That appointment is approved. Next item is 9D2, same memorandum, AM 344, 2015.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve item 9 Delta 2.
Second.
Moving to second. Any discussion? Mr. Domboski.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to point out, I know he'll get an opportunity to come up to the mic, but this is Chief Master Sergeant David Wolf. He lives in Birchwood, and it gives me great pleasure to say this will be the only active duty military personnel that we have on this commission. And I think with that will come an interesting perspective. So I'm very excited to see this appointment. I would encourage a yes vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Other discussion from assembly members? There don't appear to be any. Please vote. That is approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 9D3, the same memorandum, AM1, same memorandum 340, 2015.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay.
Any discussion?
Sorry, LD.
Oh, no, it's everybody's got my point. Thank you.
No, well, I just wanted to take a moment here. Mr. Shake's brother and I worked together for many years, and he's I think, going to be a tremendous asset to ACDA, and looking forward to his service. So, Mr. Mayor, good find. Congratulations.
Please vote. That is approved by the body. Anybody here was appointed to Board of Commission? Where is the Chief Master Sergeant at? Come on down, sir. Peters Creek?
Birchwood.
Thank
Chairman.
you for agreeing to do this, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you very much for what you guys do for our great city. Mr. Mayor, thanks for the opportunity to, he's out the door.
Had to go to a funeral.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to serve. In the military, you guys know we deal with budget woes much the same that you guys do, and we spend money pretty similar to the way that you guys spend money too. So I think I'll hope to bring a good perspective, and I look forward to serving. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for agreeing to do it, sir.
Thank you.
Next item in front of us is on page 3. It's item 9F1, Ordinance AO 2015-63. You pulled this, Ms. Gray-Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to
We
change
want to move the public hearing to 14th of July.
Right.
And I'd like to send this to Mr. Hall's Election Commission, if you wouldn't take a look at Mr. Hall.
I think we
I'll be more than happy to do that, but because of notice, we won't be able to handle that until the meeting of June. So be glad to have it in our June meeting.
That's fine, sir. We don't have it back in front of us till the 14th of July.
Second?
I
Or
think
third.
we need a
Third.
motion to introduce.
Yes.
Yeah, there we are. Okay.
We're getting there.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. Who made the motion to introduce? Albie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was attempting to.
I know.
Right.
Go ahead.
Move to introduce AO 2015-63 and to change the public hearing date from June 23rd to July 14th.
Who's
Thank
the
you, Mr.
second,
Chairman.
third on it?
There, I was the third.
Who was
I think
the second?
Patrick was second.
I thought I was the second, but
Okay.
who knows?
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Great work. That item will come in front of us on the 14th of July. Next item in front of us was pulled by Mr. Flynn. 9F2, Resolution R 2015-179, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage, Alaska, approving the Whitehall Street water main extension. Mr. Hall, sir. Excuse me, Mr. Flynn, sir. You pulled.
Move to approve.
Second?
Mr. Flynn.
Third.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to declare a potential conflict. My brother lives just down the road here. I don't believe it does not appear from the project map he's in the service area, but I wanted to make sure that was on the record.
It's the rule of the chair, so you don't have a conflict of interest. You can't get out that easy.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
That is set for public hearing. That item will be in front of us on 6/23. And let's see. Next one's laid on the table. What?
And that one was
That was this one.
introduction.
Yeah.
So I think that one's already been introduced. Well, no.
No, but somebody pulled it. I think they, didn't they pull that one? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Should we
That
go
completes our consent agenda then. Now we're down to item 11, 11A, same memorandum AM 268, 286, sorry, 2015. 2015, 2016, Clarion Suites Downtown, LLC, LL, 5381, New Bears Dispensary. That item is in front of the body. Do we have a motion on that, Madam
Yes,
Clerk?
we have a motion made by Mr. Flynn that was seconded by Mr. Bowman.
I thought that was a motion
Mr.
to
Flynn?
postpone. Was it a motion to approve?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You should have in your items that you received on your desktop tonight an operating plan from the Clarion Suites. It did meet the request that we had made but hadn't received timely 2 weeks ago. So with that, I would recommend approval of this license, sir.
So motion approves on the floor?
Second.
Any other discussion from Assembly members? Mr. Starr, sir.
Can you order room service alcohol? Is there such a concept?
There is such a concept that is not listed within their operations plan that they have provided to us.
So I notice they don't supply room service food, so it'd be strictly a liquor beverage order then?
Yeah, I don't. Part of the way this works, this is their operational plan is their operational plan, and if they choose to deviate from it and provide room service beverages, then they would have to come back to us for an amendment to their conditional use permit.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Please vote. The item is approved by the body. Next item in front is item 11B. It's Resolution Error 2015-59S. We got a little sheet of paper on this one.
I believe
Would you like my copy? Okay. Basically, this one can be postponed indefinitely.
Correct. I move to postpone indefinitely.
And I'll second. And
Mr. Flynn.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to thank Ms. Ennis and Ms. Tucker for helping us navigate this. This is going to be a little bit complicated. I did receive from the Planning Department this morning a draft ordinance addressing some of these issues. We're going to spend some time on it. I talked to Mr. Blomfield this afternoon and explained that he sort of nudged us onto a slippery slope here, and we got to figure out how we're going to navigate it.
Something new.
He was very thoughtful and willing to work with us, and I thank him for that. And we'll try to get this right, so we don't make life miserable for any of us in any of our districts. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Starr.
Mr. Flynn, you've been cautious up until now, but I'm awfully optimistic by vendors that have an entrepreneurial approach. And so are you getting the sense that we can't vendor appropriately at that footprint or just in general? Because I certainly don't want to send the message that creative ways to vendor alcohol, in some of the more European cities and things like that, they do cafe sides, no permanent address in the winter, things like that make it appropriate. Alcohol consumption is not illegal, so
right.
In that case, where do you think you'll go with that in terms of encouragement that we see a?
Well, that we'll spend time on, but Mr. Blomfield has I don't know if you've seen all the renderings he has done for that site. I think his plans for the site are very good. Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to be cautious about is, you've got a former railroad caboose out there on Eagle River. And it's not on Eagle River Road; it's on Old Glen. Do we allow them to put out a table and surround it with bollards, and they serve alcohol? I mean, it's how do we package this in a way that makes the most sense across the community? And I don't want to rush to judgment on that. Like I said, I have something from the planning department. Their inclination is to say mobile food carts are not eligible. We can discuss that. Maybe we put into place you can serve alcohol at a mobile location, but here are the requirements. The beer gardens, which I'm going to be visiting next month.
Yeah, I'm fine with that concept. I think this gentleman here, you basically shut down his summer. That's not going to happen at all if there's an investment that's continuing to ride. It'll do no good to get the permit in January. Things like that. I think I feel, want to respect. I'm certainly erring on the side of caution, but political bureaucracy in message sending don't oftentimes go together. So hopefully you'll stay with it.
Yeah, no, we had a good conversation this afternoon. I did recognize that this is not obviously his ideal outcome, but he wanted to get it right.
You're postponing indefinitely with the idea that something else is going to come back relatively soon?
Well, like I said, we have another one later in the agenda, as according to that sheet you read there, and then I'll get the planning department document reviewed by Ms. Tucker this week, hopefully, and try to have something, at least for introduction, at our next meeting, knowing that we're going to take us, we'll probably just send it over to Ms. Johnston's committee for a little bit of work and all kinds of fun stuff.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we've got later tonight, we've got AO 2015-57.
Right, and we have Chapter 10 inside Title 21. The land use codes can be very creative too, so I'm fine with the flexibility. Don't worry about you, Jackie. Go wherever we can work it out. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Honeman, on the issue in front of us?
Yes, I just wanted to kind of reiterate too, Mr. Flynn was hitting on it real good. I actually, myself here in the chair, visited AK Alchemist and looked at their business model. It's pretty intriguing, pretty creative. It's not having a beer and wine license now, even if it went a couple of months even, isn't going to shut down the business itself. They actually do coffee in the morning, and then they have sandwiches and other.
Military in the afternoon.
Yeah, they've got some pretty steady clientele showing up, and that's before the beer and wine is even in conversation. So the one concern is, closer to home per se, is we've got several mobile food carts downtown. Tia's is one place. I know there's several Polish and hot dog and all these vendors around downtown sidewalks. And if we authorize one mobile food cart here in this setting, under the parameters we don't have, then they could always come back and say me too and throw up a couple of chairs out beside their So it presents a challenge.
Ms. Dombowski, the item in front of us, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Honeman just hit the nail on the head. What I was thinking is, I don't envision us being like Las Vegas where you can drive through and grab your margarita and drive off. I think that's...
I thought that was New Orleans, according to Ms.
I don't know. I've never done it, but I'm just, I've seen it on TV. But what I can say is, I also visited this location, and I thought the footprint, honestly, was lacking. I thought it was really small. I thought the alleyway getting in and getting out was really tough. I don't really honestly see how this is going to be a big thing, but who knows? But the other question I have, and I don't know who can answer this for me, so I went into the establishment, and it looks like this is a mobile food cart, or it's permitted for a mobile food cart. Why are there are you allowed with a mobile food cart to have in-dining seating? And there was no restroom. So I'm not really sure if they're even kind of playing by the rules right now.
Well, I think when we get down later in the agenda to 57, that'll be a real good thing to ask.
Well, that's a good question. So I'm putting it out there. So I would like an answer to that at some point before we actually deal with this particular location. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Please vote on the item in front of us. Item is postponed indefinitely. Next item in front is 11C, the same memorandum AM 325-2015, sole source purchase of audit and consulting services from Kronos Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Gray Jackson.
At the request of the administration, move to postpone indefinitely.
Second.
If I can go further, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vikalis, would you like to let the body know why you would like to postpone this indefinitely? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
At this time, we're not ready to do this, but we'll come back with a new one when we are, and if we are.
Thank
Any
you.
discussion from semi-members? If not, please vote. That item is postponed indefinitely. We're down to appearance requests, but that can't take place till 6 o'clock. And we've got 2 minutes, Madam Clerk, or 1 minute?
Mr. Chairman, I move to waive the rules to allow us to take up appearance requests at this time.
Second.
Ask unanimous. See no objection. That's done. Is Teresa McDonald here?
All right. A for effort,
see her
C for
here yet.
completion, Mr. Chairman.
You what, sir?
I said A for effort, C for completion.
Yes. Ma'am, your name isn't Teresa McDonald, is it? Guess not. Okay, we'll do it later. Then let's take a break for our scheduled dinner break. Will the Assembly members return to the chambers, please? We'll get started. We've got 6 in chambers, so we can start. Teresa McDonald, are you here, ma'am? Come forward. We tried earlier, but nobody could find you, so you have 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Teresa McDonald. I was born and raised here in Anchorage, and I'm here today to talk about Taku Lake. I was here prior, I believe, the summer before, in regarding to outlaw.
Radio-powered boats?
That is correct. And today, I would like to talk about a couple things regarding that Taku Lake. First of all, there's an overpopulation of bears, and it is resulting damage to the trees. Several hundred old growth trees have been destroyed over the past 2 to 3 years. Damage has created a visual eyesore, contributing to the erosion of the lake. The lake itself, the portions of the ground fall, just like a sea coast. For instance, the Bering Sea is falling. The lake on the side of the left from the parking lot, it's falling. The damage is creating a visual eyesore, contributing to the erosion of the lake, and it's being neglected, affecting the overall water quality of the lake. The water is becoming unsafe for humans and pets due to the amount of deadfall that is left in the water to the decay. The park is in dire need of maintenance. The erosion, like I just stated, it has taken out sections of the paved trail, which creates a dangerous hazard. The amount of deadfall in all around the lake from the beavers activity creates a hazard to everyone trying to use the lake. The bridge is, I think the asphalt or the due to permafrost, it bumped up and out of place, and when you walk on it, you could trip. I've tripped on it several times. Let's see. The park is becoming a haven for illegal drug use in the parking lot and dealing, particularly in the evenings. There are times when the park feels very unsafe due to the individuals hanging around there. I request that there's some type of reduce in beaver population immediately, perform much needed maintenance to repair damage caused by the erosion of vandalism and normal wear and tear, increase police surveillance or perhaps somebody that is volunteering or somebody that is coming out of the jail system to want to help out, but consider deployment of video cameras to monitor the park activity.
Ma'am, your time's up. Have you talked to the state about beavers? Because we can't touch them. We've had numerous problems with them, but the state controls that type of wildlife. Have you talked to the state about it?
I have not.
Fish and Wildlife?
No.
That would be where I would go if there's really a problem with the beavers, would be Fish and Wildlife and talk to them.
Mr. Chairman?
Sir?
Thank you. We had a similar problem about a year and a half ago at Windsong Park in East Anchorage. Over a 1-week period, 50 trees were chewed down. And so we contacted Fish and Game, and they came out and trapped, I believe it was 3 beavers. And so that made a huge difference. And so I'm not sure who exactly. Is it Jesse Coltrane you'd maybe have to contact over at Fish and Game? And I don't know whether they trap beavers this time of year or not, but I think it actually works better in the fall. But I think you could contact them and make sure they're probably aware of the problem. But if enough citizens contacted them, they might be willing to do some trapping. Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll talk to the police department about increasing the surveillance in the parking lot there.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
One suggestion about healthy parks. I'd like to recommend when people sign up for their permanent fund dividend, that they could possibly have an option to pick, click, give towards healthy parks, because I know I would definitely pick and click give towards the healthy parks because of the state budgets.
Good idea, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions, anybody?
Mr. Honeman.
Just a comment. There's actually a pick, click, give for the Anchorage Park Foundation, I believe. And I'm not sure if what youth employment in the park, it may just be under the Anchorage Parks Foundation, I'm sure. And I know Mr. Rados would be very happy if we could receive some funding directly either way. But I think it's a great idea to keep advocating for that as well.
That would be great. Maybe we could also advertise that, put some signs up around parks in the Anchorage area, because we all go there to walk our dogs or children. It would be nice if they were maintained. And added more garbage disposables, because of the people who are fishing there with their children, not necessarily the parents, but some kids that are not supervised. They leave fishing hooks and the bobs and bait on the ground.
Ms. Dombrowski has a question for you, ma'am. She's over here.
I was just going to piggyback on what Mr. Honeman said. There's also a mechanism on muni.org where you can directly donate to the city of Anchorage and specify where you want your money to go. So, for example, if you want to donate to make sure they go to Anchorage parks and specify go to, upkeeping maybe the parks that Mr. Rada is in charge of right now, you can go and donate and specify I want it to go to the Parks and Rec Department. And then they'll be able to utilize that. I don't know how many people take advantage of it. I don't think very many. But I had the opportunity to donate earlier. I think it was last year. But it is an opportunity.
I would be happy to donate towards our lakes. But I do encourage maybe there could be some airtime on Channel 2 or any of the channels here that our parks are healthy, and I'd like to see that in the future with the marijuana being taken in place that, passed just recently. Our environment will change. There has been sightings of needles as well. So our environment will change. So I advise that, there be some meetings behind closed doors about our healthy parks.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda is public hearings. The first one is item 14A, Resolution AR 2015-153, a resolution naming the motorcycle training area located at Tudor Road, 3 Angels Memorial Track. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wish to testify? Please come forward, state your name clearly for the record. Spell your last name for the clerk, and you'll have 3 minutes. Welcome to the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Assembly, my name is Patty Bogan. I have some comments to read regarding the naming, and I will pass those comments out to you or perhaps give them to a clerk to pass out.
Right here.
I'll do it after I'm done, if that's okay. Thank you. I am a longtime member of the Anchorage community. I'm also a motorcyclist and a longtime member of the ABATE organization, the group that advocates motorcycle training and education for motorcycle riders. In recent years, it seems as though there have been many more vehicle accidents claiming the lives of some of my fellow motorcyclists. The most horrific one happened May 3rd, 2014, when 3 lives were taken in a single vehicle motorcycle collision near Palmer. The lives taken were those of Jim and Sabrina Carlisle of Wasilla and Elaine Lowe of Anchorage. A 4th rider, Elaine's husband, Paul, also went down but escaped major injuries. All were valued members of their communities, giving back, helping others. They were loved and cherished daughters, son, mothers, father, grandparents, siblings, friends. Elaine Lowe worked in the legal department for the municipality of Anchorage for many years. She was also very active in the local motorcycling group and well-loved, known for her kindness, her sense of humor, and dedication to her family. These folks were friends, members of communities that I've lived in and traveled to, and they were cared about by many, as was evidenced by the May 3rd one-year memorial ride that included more than 100 motorcyclists. Following up on that, I'm asking that you allow ABATE to name the motorcycle range off Tudor the Three Angels Memorial Track in honor of their lives. These three fallen angels took the motorcycle safety course through ABATE and were longtime advocates for the training. It will serve as a reminder to those who are taking the training to never allow yourself to lose sight of what's most important: love, family, and the fact that no matter if you were in the right when riding your motorcycle, you might be dead right when a motorcycle has killed you. It will also hopefully remind drivers and everyone, no matter what type of transportation they're using, that distracted driving can kill in a heartbeat. Thank you for this consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a question for you. Mr. Holman?
Just a comment, really. Thanks. Good to see you again, Patty. I know
Hi.
in retirement, she may not look it, but she's a experienced Harley-Davidson rider herself, not only in Alaska, but across
There's my
the
path.
lower 48.
500,000 miles.
It's amazing. So thanks for remembrance. You have the three fallen angels. I think it's a very appropriate way. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
There don't appear to be other questions. Thank you, ma'am, for testifying. We
May I
appreciate
approach?
it. Absolutely. Good to see you. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to testify, please come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Assembly. I'm Ed Rutledge. I'm the president of ABATE of Alaska. ABATE and the municipality have had a long-standing...
Your last name for the clerk.
Rutledge, R-U-T-L-E-D-G-E.
Thank you.
Certainly. We have had a relationship for many years. We've been leasing the track. We have trained thousands of motorcyclists on how to operate a motorcycle safely. It would be a great honor to name this track after my three fallen friends, Elaine, Jim, and Sabrina. I knew them all. They were all friends, and they're gone. I just ask you to please pass this resolution. Thank you.
Sir, if you stay here for a minute. Mr. Hall, sir? He's down there.
Yes, I just want to thank you, ABATE, for the training that you do give to this community. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that entire training area, the asphalt, the whole bit, was paid for by ABATE, tens of thousands of dollars that you put out there. So it's not that it's a facility that we provide, that you do the training. You not only do the training, you built the facility itself. And a word of appreciation to Mr. Michaelis. I know when you were trying to get that done a couple of years ago, he stepped forward and managed to expedite an memorandum of understanding lease, so you were able to get it done quickly and didn't disrupt your training at all. But thank you for what you do for this community and training bikers.
And thank you again. We've had a working relationship here for many years, and I hope that continues. Thank you.
There are no other questions. Thank you, sir, for all you do.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to testify, please come forward. Anyone at all here and say none? Public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body? Ms. Gray Jackson.
Second.
Ms. Gray Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Trainee. I just want to say that I knew Elaine for many, many years. I didn't know the other motorcyclists, but I am just truly, truly honored to approve this resolution. I was anyway, but especially hearing what it's going to be named after. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Honeman, sir.
Yeah, I'd echo what Mr. Hall said, and I appreciate Ms. Bogan and the last gentleman showing up and actually speaking on behalf of not only the reasons why they want to name this facility after the three fallen angels or three angels. At the same time, Carl LeRae, who also is a longtime ABATE member, who actually passed away. I believe he had a cardiac arrest or something while on a ride in the lower 48. But they do a lot of great work for our community, and that is to make motorcycling safe, or as safe as possible, to make sure that people understand the rules of the road. You might not remember or realize that if you've passed ABATE, you can actually go down and get your motorcycle license if you've gone through the program. They're actually certified as a sign-off, as more like your road test. So it's a great program, and I think it's very appropriate. I support this.
Comments from Assembly members? If not, please vote. That is approved. Next item in front of us. Be safe out there on the road. It's a nice day out there. Next item in front of us, item 14B, ordinance AO 2015-54, an ordinance of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly amending the Anchorage Municipal Code, section 14.60.030 to restore civil fines for emissions and open burning offenses described in AMC Chapter 15.35 that were inadvertently removed by prior ordinance. And there's a same memorandum with them, AM 304-2015. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wish to testify, please come forward. State your name and courtesy for the record and spell your last name if you would. Hearing and saying no, and public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion from Assembly members. Please vote. That item was approved. Next item in front of us is item 14C, ordinance AO 2015-55, an ordinance of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly, amending Anchorage Municipal Code sections 4.40.015, 17.05.100, 17.05.105, and 17.40.040 to eliminate the Animal Control Appeals Board, delete or replace references to the board, and provide for appeals and administrative decisions of the Animal Care and Control Center or the designated administrative hearing officer directly to the Superior Court. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wish to testify, please come forward. State your name and courtesy for the record. Spell your last name. And there's an accompanying same memorandum with it, 306-2015. And may wish to testify, please come forward. Hearing and saying no, and public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Johnson, second by Mr. Honeman. Any discussion for Assembly members? If not, please vote. That's approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 14D, Resolution Air 2015-176, a resolution of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly approving alcoholic beverage conditional use for retail sale of alcohol associated with brewery license number 5382 in the I-1 Light Industrial District.
Waive reading.
Old Man Rush Brewing, LLC. Public hearing on this item. Sorry. Odd Man. I'm sorry. I look at that and it's got to be Old Man. Anyway, I've got grandkids. Here's the old man come in. Anyway, this is Odd Man Rush Brewing, LLC, doing business as Odd Man Rush Brewing. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wish to testify, please come forward. Is the applicant here? Do you want to come and talk to us at all? Okay. I just wanted to offer him the opportunity. Public hearing is now closed. Anybody, what's the wish of the Assembly?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion for Assembly members. Mr. Starr, sir.
I actually am going to have one of you come down to the microphone just for a few questions and answers. I see your landlord's in the back, so you can always defer to him as well.
Come on down, guys.
While they're coming up, there's a point of clarity that I would like to make mention of. In your packet, it talked about a second beverage dispensary license within 1,000 feet of one another. In this particular case, if you get off and turn to the right, you'll go to Pizza Man. And in this other case, if you turn left and go over the freeway, you'll go to Odd Man Rush. So the 1,000 feet circumference is a little bit delineated. You've got the Glen Highway going right between the two sectors, so you're not stacking up beverage dispensaries next to each other. My question is about the trash and how you perhaps will manage some of that. From the looks of your facility, you have a non-gated entity there, so I don't think you'd get in a position of dumpster diving or any of that stuff from your overflow products or outdates or anything like that. So can you come up with, I'm not going to modify your conditional use permit for that, but do you have a system in play that a locking trash can or some way to get some of this stuff? How do you manage your outdates?
Well, I believe, and Matt can answer that better, but I believe Eklutna is providing a gated dumpster facility for the entire complex. So that'll be that's part of their plan as well.
Yeah, just watch it. I don't want to, I was in the liquor vendoring business for a while, and you'll be surprised what people will dive in a dumpster for. So we want to make sure with an unsupervised, the kids don't particularly start to congregate over that as well. Process to handle perhaps anybody that's inebriated to walk into your establishment. Have you thought that through?
You know, a lot of these brewery licenses have come up lately, and one of the actually good things about it is you're only limited to 36 ounces of alcohol.
Yeah.
When you come into the establishment, and we definitely want to stick to that. You know, we're all local Eagle River guys, and we have kids and families that grew up in Eagle River, and we want to keep our community safe, and that's definitely something we've thought about and want to maintain that for the state.
Well, your proximity to the freeway lends itself to perhaps somebody that's already inebriated getting more alcohol at your establishment and then driving down the Glen. So perhaps ever diligence would be helpful so that we don't have any tragedies
Always, for
related to your vendoring. So other than that, I'm pretty excited. It's the right use for a new building, industrial space provided by Eklutna. I'm excited for you guys to put your banner up and do well in our community. So I think you won't find a better management team. I urge approval.
Gentlemen, we need your name and spell your last name, please.
Yep, Brian Swanson, S-W-A-N-S-O-N.
Yours?
Ross Johnson, Johnsson.
Thank you. Let's see, we have some other questions. Ms. Dombowski, ma'am?
I just have one quick question. Maybe I missed it in the packet. When do you guys think you're going to be open?
We're shooting for a July opening, give or take our rest of our build out and everything else, and getting all our equipment here in the state and getting up and going. So
I appreciate that. And just, for full disclosure, Brian and I did graduate together, so I'm a little partial. I can still be objective.
There's not even a category for that either.
No, as Mr. Starr, Reed McDonald, he manages the Mac Center out in Eagle River. Brian and his family obviously have grown up in Eagle River. This is a good group of guys, and I just met Ross tonight. But we're very excited to bring this to our community. It'll bring a little bit of depth and diversity to our economy out there, and we look forward to it. Good luck.
Good. Mr. Honeman has a question.
Also welcome back, Brian. I know I actually got to see you play in Chicago a couple of times. I didn't get to see you in the bigs, but hockey guy coming back, that's probably hence the odd man rush name into it. So anyway, good on you for coming back to the community after you've had your NHL career or your pro player career. So good to see you back.
Yeah, thank you.
Gentlemen, there are no other questions. Thank you for bringing this forward. We'll vote on this now.
Thank you.
Anything else? Please vote. That's approved by the body. Congratulations, gentlemen. Next item in front of us is item 14E. Item 14E is Ordinance 2015-56, an ordinance of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly, amending Anchorage Municipal Code Title 21, Land Use Planning, Old Code, Section 21.30.130, to direct Zoning Board of Examiners and Appeals, ZEBA. Appeals to be filed with the Planning Division, Planning and Zoning Commission, case number 2014-0215, Municipal Clerk Committee Development, and there is an AM with it, AM 307-2015. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wish to testify, please come forward. State your name and spell your last name if you would. Anyone at all? Hearing and saying no in public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Ms. Johnston, ma'am. Okay. Mr. Starr, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Weaver, could I ask you a couple questions? The change that I read with having the parties affected go to the planning department as opposed to the municipal clerk's office in some of these settings, will they feel like they're walking into adversarial territory as opposed to the clerks being Switzerland?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Starr, absolutely not. The department handles all the other appeals from the regulatory boards, and it was an anomaly that they would go to the clerk, and sometimes there's new staff in the clerk's office, and they're not quite sure what that is, but.
Yeah.
They've been handled properly. I'm not saying they haven't been handled properly, but then they just get sent over to the department for processing, so
Okay.
it cleans it up.
Is there some explaining that you do in terms of process on hearings and?
There are handouts that
Yeah.
cover the whole procedure.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Hope it runs smooth. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other comments from Assembly members? Please vote. That item is approved. Next item in front of us is item 14F, ordinance CO 2015-57, an ordinance of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly amending Anchorage Municipal Code, Old Code Section 21.50.500, site plan review standards, restaurant or eating place alcoholic beverage license use to change the timing of the administrative site plan review of restaurant or eating place alcoholic beverage license areas and waive planning and zoning commission review. Community Development Department is an accompanying Assembly Memorandum, AM 308, 2015. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wish to testify, please come forward. State your name clearly for the record and spell your last name. Hearing and seeing no one, public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion from Assembly members.
Mr. Chairman?
Sir, Mr.
This
Honeman.
was one item that earlier at the beginning that we took up at the last Public Safety Committee meeting and at the request of the Planning Department to review. This basically corrects the loop that kind of put us in.
Loop?
Yeah. So basically it changes if you look on the page 2 at the very top where it's only shall occur before it previously is available only after the Assembly approval. So it put it kind of the cart before the horse when people were making applications. So the recommendation of the Public Safety Committee is that we approve this as requested, presented by the Planning Department.
Thank you, Mr. Honeman. Any other discussion from Assembly members? Not seeing any, please vote. That item is approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 14G, ordinance AU 2015-16, ordinance of the Anchorage Municipal Assembly, amending Anchorage Municipal Code Title 21, land use planning or subdivision agreements under Title 21.08.060 of the new Title 21 and Section 21.08.060 of the old Title 21 to exempt governmental
Waive reading.
units from posting financial performance or warranty guarantees. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wishing to testify, please come forward. State your name clearly for the record. Spell your last name if you would. Hearing and seeing no one, public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Starr, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Weaver. Again, I have a question for you on the applicability of this. I'm particularly interested in the warranty set-asides for the railroad. Does the railroad come into the definition of government unit, or are we treating them separately, or does this not apply to the railroad work?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Starr, we have treated the railroad as a pseudo-government entity, but we still require the subdivision agreements, the warranties. So we would require that of whether it was a school district, the municipality, the railroad. The feds usually take a different approach. They usually take an exemption and just don't comply.
Do what they want. Okay.
Yes.
Will that change or be the same under this action item? You see anything affecting the railroad from your perspective?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Any other Assembly comments? If not, please vote. That item is approved by the body. Next item in front of us, item 14H, Ordinance 2015-62, an ordinance to exclude from the 2015 Port Capital Improvement Budget the Terminal Road Project budget and transfer the budget to the Wharf Pile Enhancements Project. And there's the Port of Anchorage. There's a company same memorandum, AM 328, 2015. Anybody wish to testify in this item, please come forward. State your name clearly for the record, spell your last name. Anyone at all? Hearing and saying none. Public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Steele, sir.
Yes, Mr. Rubufo. Is this because you got ahead of the game, or what's the reason for the transfer?
Through the chair to Mr. Steele. No, we did not get ahead of the game, but it's giving us an opportunity to get ahead of the game. Street maintenance has agreed to do that work for us since Terminal Road is a municipal road.
So it's found money.
I'm sorry?
So it's found money.
Correct.
Right? Good. That's a good use.
And we have a significant amount of work to do under the dock, and this gives us an opportunity to get right on that.
Mr. Flynn, sir.
I don't think this is for you, Steve. You can sit down, I think.
I'm sorry? No.
My question isn't for you, Mr. Rebuffo.
Okay.
Mr. Michaelis, if we're taking port money out of the Terminal Road project, how are we replacing it from PM&E or whomever is funding it?
Yes, sir. It would be under Public Works, and if it's anything major, then of course it would go to PM&E, but if it's not, it would be street maintenance. So just to kind of go back in history, street maintenance always always was responsible for that road. But during some type of a transition a few years ago, somehow or another, the port took it on, especially when they went ahead and did the security enhancements out there. But quite frankly, when I got the two departments together, street maintenance did agree that they really should be responsible for it since it's within their area anyway. And so it's coming out of their regular funding. If in fact maintenance is required on it, as far as major maintenance, then we would bond for it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Flynn, anything else, sir?
That'll do.
Other comments from assembly members? Seeing none, please vote. That item is approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 14I. Resolution AR 2015-170, resolution approving amendment to the existing contract with outside counsel Schaefer Shaw LLP for legal issues relating to the Port Intermodal Expansion Project and reappropriating up to $4,345,000 from the appropriate port funds to the Port Operating Fund 570 for that purpose. Departments of Law, there's two accompanying same memorandums, AM 329-2015 and 329-2015A. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wish to testify, please come forward. Anyone at all? Don't need to raise your hand, sir. Just come on down. Welcome, sir. We need to spell your last name, please.
My name is Eugene Carl Haberman, H-A-B as in Bobby, E-R-M-A-N. I wasn't expected to speak on this issue. I was expected to speak on other issues later on the agenda, but since it's on here, I'd like to just express my statement. As you know, I follow public process. The public process is done appropriately. The decision made by the governing body is more like in the public interest. You've got here a resolution that talks about a contract of $4,345,000 dealing with the port. The press, everyone around has basically seen a lot of news about this. Public process is the proper engagement of the public before you make a decision. My concern is that you should hold for a continuation for public hearing to give the public input. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. I make mistakes. We all do. We're not all perfect. Is that sometimes when you discuss port, you go into executive sessions. It's been a very heated thing. This is a rare opportunity where you can bring the public in to hear from them about this issue. Now, and then again, there was a reading introduction for this was introduced appropriately, as far as I could see here, but then it goes right to public hearing at the next meeting. Give this a chance, one more meeting. What is the urgency that this has to be approved tonight? Give the public an opportunity to look at this thing. Note also, this is just left Memorial Day weekend. People are just coming back. And give the public a chance to have some comments on this thing. And if there is such an urgency that has to be decided tonight, explain to the public why it has to be signed off tonight and approved by the Assembly. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, sir. There are no questions. Anybody else wish to testify? Hearing and saying no in public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Second.
Discussion from assembly members. Please vote. That is approved 9-1. Next item in front of us, item 14J, Resolution 2015-165, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage appropriating $610,000 in the Anchorage Fire Department for an ambulance replacement and cardiac monitors, $2,500,000 in the Public Works Department for a Warren radio console project, and $3,400,000 in the Anchorage Police Department for E911 upgrade. This is area-wide public safety and public transportation improvements. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wishing to testify, please come forward. State your name and courtesy for the record. Seeing and hearing no one, public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Starr, sir.
Through the chair, Mr. Vacalis, on the Warren radio expenditures, I had thought during the bonding language there was some reference to Chugiak Eagle River being inclusive. Is this the monies that will get them some of the radio connections that they're asking for?
Sir, this money specifically is taking care of the consoles, and the consoles are located in the dispatch centers, and they have to be replaced.
When will the appropriation and the radios that were mentioned in that bond be distributed to Chugiak Eagle River?
As soon as we get them, sir. Yeah, there was some allocated for that, but this first item up here actually is talking about the consoles. So.
Okay, well, if the consoles update, we want to be sure that the Chugiak Eagle River
Yes, sir.
folks are dialed in so we don't
Yes, sir, and they will be, as will Girdwood.
Good, thank you very much.
Yes.
Discussion from other assembly members. Seeing none, please vote. That item is approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 14K. Resolution number 2015-166, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage appropriating $2,750,000 to the Anchorage Bowl Parks and Recreation Service Area Capital Improvement Program Fund 461, Parks and Recreation Department for general obligation bond proceeds to pay the cost of capital improvement projects. Office of Management and Budget, there's an accompanying and same memorandum, AM 312, 2015. Anybody wishing to testify on this item, please come forward. State your name, courtesy for the record, and spell your last name, if you would, please. Hearing and seeing no one, public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Flynn, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. I should have sent this question in ahead of time, but where are we in the RFP process for the replacement of the Westchester Bridge?
Mr. Otto will answer the question.
Thank you. Good punt.
We can always tell when it's summertime.
It is summer. Feels good. Through the chair, Mr. Flynn, bids open tomorrow afternoon.
Bids open as in?
Bids open at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon for the replacement of the bridge.
So we have them in hand. We're just opening up the envelopes.
I'm sorry?
We have them in hand, and we'll be opening the envelopes.
Yes, we do.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Other questions from assembly members prior to voting? Seeing no one, please vote. The item is approved by the body. Next item in front of us, item 14L, resolution number 2015-167, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage appropriating $17,030,000 to the Anchorage Roads and Drainage Service Area Capital Improvement Program Fund.
Waive reading.
Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wishing to testify, please come forward. State your name clearly for the record and spell your last name, if you would, please. Hearing and say no, and public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Discussion from assembly members. Please vote. That item is approved by the body. Next item in front of us would be item 14N. Resolution Air 2015-168, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage appropriating $1,800,000 to the Anchorage Fire Service Area Capital Improvement Program Fund 431, Anchorage Fire Department, from general obligation bond proceeds to pay the cost of fire protection capital improvements, Office of Management and Budget, and accompanying the same memorandum, AM 314-2015. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wishing to testify, please come forward and state your name clearly for the record. Spell your last name, if you would, please. Anyone at all hearing and saying none? Public testimony is closed. What's the
Move to approve.
Mr. Honeman, sir.
Chief, what fire engine are we replacing, or is this for the reserve? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Honeman, we're replacing some KMEs that are 10 years old and reaching the point to where they're getting the mileage. It's a part of our apparatus replacement program. We have 2 more to go, and then we're up to date.
Okay, so this will get us 2 or 1?
This will get us 3.
3, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. There don't appear to be any other questions. Please vote. That's approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 14N, Resolution Air 2015-169, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage appropriating $99,000 from the State of Alaska Department of Transportation and appropriating $2,177 of contribution from the 2015
Waive
Anchorage
reading.
Police Department. This is for impaired driving enforcement, accompanying a same memorandum, AM 315-2015. Public hearing on this item is now open. Anybody wishing to testify, please come forward. State your name clearly for the record. Hearing and saying no, and public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body? Thank you to both of you. Discussion from semi-members. If not, please vote. That is approved by the body. You what, sir? Next item in front of us is item 14O, Ordinance 2015-52, an ordinance of the municipality of Anchorage authorizing the sale of real property legally described as Lot 19, Block 1, Mountain Valley Estate Subdivision, Lot 18, Block 5, Riverview Estate Subdivision, Lot 9, Stockhausen Subdivision, all located in Eagle River, PID 050-651-3 and 050-792-15 and 051-063-51. Real Estate Department, this is company same memorandum, AM 302-2015. Public hearing is now open on this item. Anybody wish to testify, please come forward. State Jim Curry for the record. Hearing and saying no, public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion from some members? If not, please vote.
I hope so.
Vote no, vote no.
The item is approved by the body. Next item in front of us is item 14P, Ordinance 2015-53, an ordinance authorizing a lease between Municipality of Anchorage Tenant and Sunshine Plaza LLC lessor to provide lease space located at 411 West 4th Avenue, Anchorage, for the Synergy SAP project for up to 2 years. Real Estate Department is accompanying the same memorandum, AM 303-2015. Public hearing on this item is open. There's also item 14P2, AO 2015-53S, and there's an accompanying item 14P3, a semi-memorandum 303-2015A. Public hearing on these items is now open. Anybody wishing to testify, please come forward. State your name, courtesy for the record, and spell your last name if you would. Hearing and seeing no one, public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve. Oh.
Which one? Are you going to do the 53 or the 53S?
Yes. Yes,
Okay. We've got 53S in front of us. Discussion from Assembly members. Mr. Flynn, sir.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to the date change. Are we going to actually be able to get in there in that time frame?
Who do we have here?
Yes, sir, we can. If I could go ahead and answer. We need to get in there as soon as possible, and the space is available.
All right.
Anything else, Mr. Flynn?
No.
Comments from Assembly members? Please vote.
This was the biggie.
That's approved, 9-1. Next item in front of us is item 14Q. Resolution Air 2015-171, a resolution of the municipality of Anchorage approving a master tax exempt lease purchase agreement loan and appropriating an amount not to exceed $4,600,000 from the proceeds of a master tax exempt lease purchase agreement loan to the Information Technology 607 and an appropriation of said funds to the Information Technology Capital Improvement Program, CAP Fund 608, Information Technology IT Department for software licensing and implementation.
Waive reading.
AM with it, AM 330-2015. Anybody wishing to testify, please come forward, state your name clearly for the record, spell your last name. Hearing and saying no, and public testimony is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you, ma'am. Discussion from Assembly members. Mr. Honeman.
Just wanted to clarify this. This really doesn't have anything to do with the SAP Kronos. This is more about replacing hardware and software to upgrade, and I'm correct. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Starr, sir.
I'll have to ask Lance a question about hosting offsite email. You're switching over to a hosting agency. Is that fairly typical in government, or do we try to host our own email for resident recovery?
Through the chair, Mr. Starr, it's not uncommon to host email offsite, including for government agencies. The Microsoft has a certain level of certification to address a lot of the concerns about hosting government offsite, and so our contract would include that.
Some of the freedom of information requests are processed locally. Is that going to impede recovery of emails and things that?
The tools available through the Microsoft hosting service are far better than what we have today. We would be able to produce much better results much more quickly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. Other discussion from Assembly members? If not, please vote. That item is approved. Now we're down to item 14R. Item 14R is ordinance 2015-51, an ordinance to restrict persons who use the services of Anchorage Safety Center more than 3 times a 12-month period from the purchase of alcohol from packaged liquor stores. What we need to do with this one is there are some problems with the ordinance, and we got a letter from ACLU, about 4-page letter, and they brought up some significant points. And Dennis, we're just looking into how do we craft it to work within that. D, we were talking about having this come back in front of us when?
I believe you stated when we talked today the 23rd of June.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. If anybody wants to testify tonight, it was listed, you can, but It would be easier if you just wait till the 23rd, if that's when we move it to. Does anybody wish to testify in this item?
At least, I thought we had at least Stu or you.
I think I'll wait till.
Okay.
Okay. Hearing and seeing no one, Madam, Ms. Gray Jackson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to continue the public hearing to the meeting of June 23rd.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please put it on the board. A yes will move it to the 23rd. That will be back in front of us on the 23rd. There. Thank you, Madam Clerk. That completes this portion of the agenda. We're now down to special orders. If you look on the addendum to the agenda, we have one that's listed down there, item 15A. I need a motion on that.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Discussion from Mr. Hall.
Yes, I would like to speak to this.
Go ahead, sir.
I've actually drafted my comments on this, and then I'll make a closing comment. But we are thankful that there is a net in place that allowed us to locate, identify, and process these remaining ballots. The space at City Hall is unfortunately a symptom of procedural issue. Ballots are moved too many times before they are processed. Our election commission starts work the week before Election Day. They are in the Ombudsman's conference room with 8 commissioners, support staff, and computers. After Election Day, the commission moves to room 105 for review of the envelopes, review of voter eligibility, and to count ballots. This is the same space used for early voting and supplies. There are too many moving parts with ballots arriving from various locations and moving in different directions. As chair of the Ethics and Election Committee, have instructed the clerk's office to set up a meeting with the State Division of Elections to discuss various issues. I will add this to the agenda to understand the state's procedure for ballot review. Additionally, before these issues arose, I had instructed the clerk's office to set up a meeting to discuss alternative space options in City Hall. An understanding of how the state processes their election materials will help guide this conversation. And I had a meeting with Clerk Barbara Jones and Deputy Clerk in charge of elections, Amanda Mosier, this afternoon. And I got to tell you, I was touched by the emotion that these two individuals have about the fact that they found these 55 ballots. And I tried to assure them that I couldn't be more proud of the fact of how they've handled this, and the fact that even after the certification of the election, they continue to make sure that nothing has been missed. I don't know how they could do any better job than what they've done. I understand the fact that it's challenging to them. As a matter of fact, it's quite distressful to them, the fact that they missed this. And when I say they, that during the process these were missed. But they do a remarkable job in the confines that they try to do this job. And we've really got to try to work it out so we're not handling these ballots as many times as we do. But nothing but kudos to the clerk, to Amanda, and the commission for handling our elections the way that they do.
Thank you, Mr. Hull. I agree with you. I've been talking to Clerk about how we can get more space, because right now it's crazy. It's like a Chinese fair drill, trying to move these ballots, thousands of them, from one floor to the other. And you guys did a great job. We'll close this little loophole. And there are assembly comments? If not, please vote. Their recertification is approved. Next item in front of us should be anybody wishing to speak to us on any item that's not on the agenda in front of us. What? There's no unfinished agenda. Oh, hello, ma'am.
Hi. Susan Kanen, Kanen, and I've been presenting issues on fluoride, And there are a lot of new items that have to do with this topic, and I'm hoping you don't just see me walk up and walk away. But just this last year, Mr. Flynn, the product has been purchased in China. And I wrote up a document, and I want some response back from the Assembly on that document. It was forwarded to the water utility with essentially a rubber stamp saying, you are responsible for making the decision that fluoride bought from China that says fatal if swallowed and skull and crossbones on it. This is a picture of the actual bag. The water utility gave it to me. It is appropriate to put into our water. Now look at that PDF that I have, that I sent you. You need to spend a little bit of time on it because you are responsible, each of you, for checking off that this is appropriate to be put in our water. Maybe it was a good idea back in the 50s, or maybe even when we had the product when we bought it from our country and it was properly certified. Our municipal code talks about the testing of purity. It is non-existent. I've been here for a year asking the companies, asking everybody. I have not one data point on the purity of this compound that you put in the water. And you need to give it a little effort. You can't sit up there and drink purified water when you're putting my grandbaby to bed bathed in fluoridated water. There's a lot more new research, and I could put together a whole list of things, even within the last year. Hypothyroidism, ADHD, let alone the purity of it. If you're convinced fluoride is good for you, that's fine. It's easy to get it. But for those of us allergic to it, those of us who have been overdosed through our workforce, we don't need this in our water. Now, I sent you this email. You can look at this picture. I think the other backside actually says China. I didn't send you both pictures, but also I sent you the Honolulu law. It says water is not the appropriate media to address health issues. Water, you treat the water, you treat the water. You don't treat the water to treat people. And this is a very good law, and it's catching fire across the United States. So I hope you will spend a minute, read my email to you, and also, if we can get together, myself, a committee, maybe public safety, we need to give this some attention. It is devastating to think that you're worried about many of these things are very important. I listen to them all day after day that I come down here, but you don't listen to this that's in every drop of water you drink. It soaks into your skin. It's a very important issue. We need to give it some consideration. The new item news for fluoride is it's turned off right now in Anchorage. Did you know that? Did the utility tell you? No, it has been off since May 11th. I'm a chemist. I'm ability to test that. Why didn't they tell us that? I asked them when they turn us back on. They go, oh, soon. It's still off as we speak right now, and I feel free to bathe in it. I can tell when I'm exposed to fluoride. I can measure it. It comes through the skin. You don't realize that you're dosing every single person, every single day, every dishwasher load, it's a waste too, because only 99% is gone. So I want to have some more action from you. You're not doing your job on this particular topic.
Ms. Gray Jackson has a question for you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for testifying this evening. Mr. Jokala, the GM for AWW, responded to your last email. Did you see his response?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll translate what that is. I'm not going to read that. I have no comment about any of those specific objections. It's up to you to decide, because you ordered me to do it. I'm just following orders is all that he said. Now, the upgrade that they put in there, did they commit us to fluoridate for X number of years? Are we going to pay back this upgrade? Do you understand what they've upgraded the fluoridation system?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. There are no other questions, ma'am. Thank you. Eugene, come on down.
My name is Eugene Carl Haberman, Haberman. I'd like to first say is, as you know, I follow public process. If the public process is done appropriately, then the decision made by the governing body is more likely in the public interest. Tonight you recertified the election of 2015. You certified the election last week and you're certifying again. At the previous meeting, I raised concern that you violated state law, providing a reasonable opportunity to be heard for the public at all public meetings. You decided on an issue, and then we're allowed to say something. This is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. You continue to conduct a policy of indifference to what I'm saying about public process. Occasionally, some of you sign off on emails, and some send me emails that says deleted, not read. I'm sorry, but sooner or later, you're going to be called accountable for what you've done. More and more people are aware of what I'm saying about public process. I'm getting cooperation from the City of Palmer, City of Wasilla, City of Houston, and the Matsu Borough. And I'm getting more and more people come to me and say thank you. But they're hearing about what I say, not thanks to the members back there at the press, because they have been basically doing the, I'll call it a cover-up. They continue to not publish the reports I said. The first report I did in 2012 was enough for every member of the Assembly and the mayor to resign. I find it crazy to hear the words of Mr. Hall earlier today. I was at the Election Commission meeting today. It was noticed for Friday for a meeting today on a canvass board meeting. The ballots, the letters going out to those parties were mailed out until Friday, Memorial Day weekend. The meeting for that canvass was in the morning. How do we expect people to get the notice, to attend, and challenge that their ballot is counted? There's no way. There is no way. I'm sorry. You've exhausted me, but I still find more strength to continue my work, and I will continue and address this issue from time to time. But I'll add this note. This is the fourth year, the fourth election I reviewed, and it's the fourth year I will say this election is illegitimate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to testify? Please come forward. Come on, you've been waiting for hours.
Yeah.
You know you want to.
My name's Ed Larrivee, LARRIVEE-2. We need to do something about our main bike trails. And we need to do something about the roads, because the roads are terrible. I'm seeing these, it didn't used to be like this 5 years ago. And something needs to happen. Patch them or something, but there's craters on Lake Otis. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, where is the tax money going to? And the bike trails, the Lake Otis bike trail, the C Street bike trail, they're all cracking up. And people are starting to hit them and either tear up their car or tear up their bike, or they're wrecking or something. We need to do something about this, because it's gone from bad to worse. And if you don't believe me, take your car and ride up and down Lake Otis in between Abbott and Tudor. And you're going to see what I mean really fast. You're going to see, they just pop up and they need to be patched. And I know, they're doing it. I guess they're doing as best job as they can, but maybe if you can't patch them, mark them with some sort of orange paint or something, so people will see it. Something needs to be done, and that's the same with the bike trails, the main bike trails, the C Street bike trail, the Lake Otis bike trail, trails like this, because people are riding their bikes and they're not thinking. They're not thinking. They're using these little skinny tires and they're hitting these trails and they're on the side of the road. So I'm coming with my great big balloon tires and I'm looking. I have to pull over and help them, see if they're okay. But something needs to be done. Is there any questions?
Don't appear to be any. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't make it last time because I had to go to my great niece's graduation.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Anybody else wish to testify, please come forward. Hearing and seeing no one, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
We're adjourned.